watching the sun bake. All of those tourists covered with oil, strumming my sixth string on my front porch swing. The smell of the shrimp, they're beginning to boil. Wasting away again in Margaritaville, searching for my lost shaker of song. Some people claim that there's a woman to blame, and I know it's nobody's fault. Don't know the reason I stay here all season with nothing to show but this brand new tattoo. But it's a real beauty, a Mexican cute. I'm just kidding. And how it got here, I haven't a clue.
On behalf of this celebration of life for my father, Subramaniam, Bala Subramaniam. I say that because it's a very long name and it was my first grade assignment to spell that name. So I say it with a lot of aplomb. He also is known as Dr. S. Bala. He's known as Babu Mama to some people, Bala Uncle to others, and he's known to my brother and I as Appa. So the theme today, if you notice, thanks to some wonderful people I'll introduce at the end, is music, obviously. You see the band next to you. My dad liked a lot of different types of music, and I'm not talking necessarily Bollywood music. I'm talking music from the 50s, 60s, 70s. And there's a story behind the music because he grew up in Sri Lanka, or Ceylon, when he was there, in Colombo. And they had a family of 4 brothers and 4 sisters. And they, of course, were supposed to listen to Carnatic South Indian music. But just like most of my family, they like to rebel and do whatever they want to do. And that's exactly what they did. So they decided to listen to Western music. And across the street, or I think they maybe quietly went over to the neighbor. This is on Pereira Lane. And by the way, before I start, I want to exercise it for all of you. All of you have Google Maps, right? So I want you to open up your maps, to indulge me, and type in Pereira Lane, Sri Lanka, so that you actually can relive where he came from. You don't have to do that, but if you want to humor me, you can. So what they did was they used to listen to, I have the notes here, they used to listen to Radio Ceylon Binaka Hit Parade. And this was actually, Binaka, I think, was a soap, toothpaste, okay, not a soap, but toothpaste. So they used to play music from the 50s, 60s, and 70s, like Jim Reeves. They used to play so many variety of different music, all English American songs, and that's why some of the playlists today is that. And one of also his favorite music was during the 70s and 80s, which is Kenny Rogers. So we have also have that today. So now I'll introduce my brother to you, Vivek Bala Subramaniam. He decided to go by the long last name, not Bala, because he learned to spell faster than I could. So
as Dishit mentioned, when my mother and him first came to the U.S., they came to Chicago. And so if you can imagine a young man who grew up in Ceylon on an island very close to the equator, moving to a place called Chicago, where the average temperature was cold. And that's probably what he thought of it, was just cold. From there, though, I don't know what was motivating him outside of either better food or warmer weather or a combination of both, because we moved from Chicago to St. Louis, and from St. Louis to El Paso, Texas, and then finally from El Paso, Texas here to LA, where I think he was just continued to pursue better weather that he could enjoy and also better food. And along the way in El Paso, I think he discovered Mexican food, which became his staple for every day to go and eat if he could. When we moved to Anaheim Hills, for those who are local here, a restaurant called Don Jose's is down there on Santa Ana Canyon Road, and that was one of the first restaurants that was here. And I just distinctly remember my father being very excited to go there. And then there would be a discussion because Dushyant and I would want to go to the pizza place down the street from there, but he always wanted to go to Don Jose's every Friday. And then that translated into El Torito next door here, where he spent, I think, the last probably decade of his life going and not ordering because his food would just arrive along with his gin and tonic because they knew him so well. So in honor of that, we did have the Mexican food here for him in honor of him. One more little tidbit though is although you heard that my father would listen to music, somewhere along the lines, and I blame it on Texas, he got into country music, and that was. It was probably the high and low light of my musical education, but I distinctly remember in El Paso, Texas, him driving and we listening to Glenn Campbell on the 8-track, and I was not allowed to sit in the front seat, but I was allowed to stand up in the back seat and lean over and push the buttons on the front seat to make it play, and he would have an 8-track of Glenn Campbell that we would listen to over and over and over again. So, but his love of music was always there. The other artist that always would play in our house would be Harry Belafonte, and it would play over and over again because he used to love that. So, somewhere in the house on Fairway Lane is a reel-to-reel recorder that has 1 million different tunes on it and a huge vinyl collection that probably now is finally worth something. So, I'm going to ask our cousin the Carotes to sing a song in honor of my father.
What we're going to sing is Que Sera Sera, which was originally sung by Doris Day. And that was Bala Uncle's, he loved the song. But also when you asked him, hi Bala Uncle, how you doing? What's going on? He goes, Que Sera Sera. That was his answer to a lot of things. So that's the song we're going to do. It's what from The Man Who Knew Too Much, right? Yeah.
Will I be pretty? Will I be rich? Is what she said to me. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Sera, sera. What will be, will be. When I grew up and fell in love, I asked my sweetheart, what lies ahead? We'll have rainbows day after day. Here's what my sweetheart said. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Sera, sera. What will be, will be. Now I have children of my own. They ask my mother, what will I be? Will I be handsome? Will I be rich? I tell them tenderly. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera. What will be, will be. Que sera, sera.
Such a feeling's coming over me. There is wonder in most everything I see. Not a cloud in the sky, got the sun in my eyes, and I won't be surprised if it's a dream. Everything I want the world to be is now coming true. looking down on creation, and the only explanation I can find is the love that I found ever since you've been around. Your love's put me at the top of the world. Something in the wind just learned my name, and it's telling me that things are not the same. In the leaves on the trees and the touch of the breeze, there's a pleasing sense of happiness for me. There is only one wish on my mind. When this day is through, I hope that I will find that tomorrow will be just the same for you and me. All I need will be mine if you are here. I'm on the top of the world looking down on creation, and the only explanation I can find is the love that I found ever since you've been around. Your love's put me at the top of the world. I'm on the top of the world looking down on creation, and the only explanation I can find is the love that I found ever since you've been around. Your love's put me at the top of the world.
I was asked to say a few words, and again, I joined the family about 25 years ago, so it's been a fun ride. And I think one thing that Appa really taught me was the value of family and the value of extended family. There's so much to say and so much that simply can't be captured by words. Appa was always happy to see family. He lived for extended family. To me, he was a patriarch, an attending physician, a mentor, father, grandfather. I really got to know Appa and see him in action when we went to India to teach pediatric advanced life support in December of 2000. We went for the month, and that's when I truly learned how revered he was. You know, to me, he was just Appa. But to see him in action, to see him actually in charge of everything in India, put a completely different spin on things. Unfortunately, the Gujarat earthquake happened about a month or two after we had taught that PALS course, or maybe fortunately, because a lot of those people that we taught were up there helping with the Gujarat earthquake. And of course, as you can all imagine and know, he immediately got back on a plane and went back. Appa and Amma made it a tradition to come to our family for Thanksgiving. As Amma used to say, my whole life, my goal for this holiday was to find somebody else that would invite me to it. So they used to come for Thanksgiving every year, and a tradition in my family that I brought was that the day after Thanksgiving, we put the Christmas tree up, and then one that Dushyant brought was you had to go Black Friday shopping. So, of course, I think, you know, Appa loved Christmas music. Any of you that knew him, when he came, it was country music, it was Christmas music, but I really think that he liked the Black Friday shopping and seeing Santa the most. And of course, I think we even have a photo of Amma and Appa and the boys sitting on Santa's lap, so that it was pretty special. As a family, we have many fond memories of Fairway Lane. And in fact, when the boys were young, I think it was their favorite place in the world to be. They would, Appa and Dushyant would pick us up at Orange County Airport. The boys would run into the pool. In fact, sometimes they even flew in their swimming suits just so that they could get in the pool immediately when they got there. Each boy helped plant a tree in the backyard. Gus's is the plum tree, if any of you eat the plums from the tree. Max's is the nectarine. And of course, Appa was out there showing him how to dig a hole, how to use a shovel, and would send us updates about, well, your plum tree is starting to bud, and then they'd send stuff to him. The boys laughed with him, learned with him, and even did Legos with him. They would spend a lot of time doing Legos. And there were many a trip to Fry's for the latest gadget. And when Appa couldn't walk very well, he would use the scooter and, kind of go beep, beep, and run people over. And of course, the boys absolutely adored that. Just being with Appa meant that they had a fabulous day. Their opinions and desires mattered. They may have been 4 and 6, but my gosh, they were the center of the world when they were with Appa. And he was extremely generous with his time, especially in making sure that the boys got to know India. He took us on multiple vacations, and the boys have extremely fond memories, and they were exposed to culture much more than if it had just been Vivek and I taking them. Many of our fondest memories of the family are actually when all of us were in India for those extended periods of time. So Appa and Tata, you were larger than life. You loved life, and you loved the people that were in your life. The world is a dimmer place without you in it, but it is a brighter place from all the lives you have touched.
Thank you so much for coming. You've made our day, and this will be something worth remembering. Thank you very, very much for coming. I hold it. Dushyant. Bala, I've known Bala for about almost 56 years, and he went away 3 years ago. But those 56 years were a blast, actually more than a blast. And I'm very, very grateful for that. And at my age, the only thing that matters is you think positive. Nothing else counts. So we count our blessings and we celebrate. That's the reason for our celebrating today. Bala and I were classmates. And on that tone, some of my classmates have written hello to read out to you, and I'm going to read this. Some of them are, this is on a WhatsApp group batch, and some of them are in England, some in Houston, and so on and so forth. This is a lady named Kim. She is in New York, and she's an internal medicine specialist. Remembering Bala and you and Dushyant fondly, I recall vividly the visit we made with Zafar. Kim, I hope you're listening somewhere, with you in May 2016. He was very involved with the emergency system he set up in Pune and was trying to set it up in Kathmandu. Kim is from Kathmandu. He related the narrow escape he had during the earthquake. I'm so glad we were able to spend time with you and Bala. One second. This is a friend of ours named Nalakshi, and she is currently in Houston, and she does radiotherapy. And this is what she has written. She's another one of our classmates and a very close friend. Ulhas, my thoughts are with you, Dushyant and Vivek, as you celebrate with Bala. His brilliant smile and great laughter brings cheer to remember, and his stubborn, strong will to achieve what would discourage most people. Have a happy day of celebrating the great guy. Nalakshi and I used to go for a movie in the only English movie theater in Vellore. We're from CMC Vellore. And we would be sitting somewhere in a remote corner, and from somewhere, suddenly a laugh would come, and Nalakshi would say, "That's Bala." That was his laugh. His laugh has come down to Dushyant, and from Dushyant, it's come down to my grandson. Keep it up. One Hoshang Bharucha. Hoshang, I hope you're listening. He's in UK. I would like to share in the sentiments expressed by Padmini so brilliantly. He was a great guy. Hoshang, I should have read the other one first. Padmini Verma, she is right now on the East Coast. I'm sorry, I don't know where you are, Padmini. But she's from Kerala, and she was one of our classmates. Ulhas, MA, and myself wishing you and family the best reminiscences and joy as you celebrate Bala's life today. He was a great guy, dynamic, brilliant. Family and friends always can be proud of what he was and what he has achieved. MA and myself have special thoughts to celebrate. And yeah, okay, that's all. People have often asked me, when you and Bala met, what was the first thing you talked about? And you're not going to believe what we talked about. And it was for more than an hour. It was about the amoeba. Why the amoeba? I have no idea, but that was, I guess, I get obsessed with things once in a while. And that was my obsession at that time. I was fascinated with the biology of the amoeba. And I couldn't find anyone to listen to me, which is not uncommon, even now. So, for want of anything else, I started the topic. It was a feeler, and he started listening. And I said, oh, okay, let me say more. And I went through the entire biology of the amoeba and how it lives on its own in spite of being just one cell. Not only did he listen to me, but he absorbed everything, and he even brought up points to discuss. Can you believe that? So Bala has always been a very good listener, and that has helped a lot. With these, there was another incident that I would probably share with you, and that was about his smoking. Bala used to be a chain smoker, like many people in his generation when we were in college. I mean, I couldn't care less because my father was a cigar smoker, so it didn't really matter. But there was a time when after we came, the children were brainwashed in school, and they would come home and they would tell their father not to smoke. They would put up placards all over. He would smoke in the bathroom, and they would put a big sign on the bathroom saying smoking kills cancer or something like that. Anyway, so after some time, he began hiding his cigarettes in his white coat pocket, which would be in the car in the front yard. These boys found out about it, of course, and as usual, they did not confront him, but they got the car keys and would take away the cigarettes. Now, Bala would get up in the morning and very confidently go to the car and not find them there, but he dare not ask anyone because they were not supposed to be there. This went on for a long, long time, and in all of this, of course, I couldn't care less about his smoking, but I was really annoyed about the sneakiness. So now what could I do? But fortunately or unfortunately, at that time, something very negative came to my rescue. He called me one day and said, Ulhas, I have a patch in my lung. I said, oh. And that, it turned out to be just a cyst eventually. But that, believe it or not, he stopped smoking instantly. So if there's anyone you know, I don't think any of you smoke, but if there's anyone you know who says they cannot stop, that is not true. With those few words, who's next? Sorry.
Are you finished? You sure?
This is Dushyant. This is Dushyant. I'll hand over the mic.
Okay, thank you. Let's give my mom a big hand. Thank you. By the way, I just want to do a little shout out to my Toastmaster friends in the back. largely because my mom got me into that club, even though I didn't need help speaking. And they are here very kindly. And my mom joined the club. My dad also was part of the club. So thank you guys way back there, okay, in the bleachers. So now I just want to say a couple of words myself about my dad. And it's been 3 years, of course, since he passed away. And celebrations of life are usually done very, very soon. But the pandemic hit us hard and hit him hard. And hit many, many people hard, and it was the most tragic thing I think that our generation is hopefully going through. So in the celebration of life, I want to tell you 2 short stories about my father. One story actually happened about 3.5 miles down this way to my friends here from Canyon High School, a couple of my classmates here in the Canyon High School tennis court. Vivek and I were playing tennis. This was probably when we were in high school or younger, and we played what they call Australian rule doubles. If you don't know what that is, you have 2 people on one side, the other person's on the other court, and the other person can hit into the doubles court, and the doubles players can only hit in a singles court. So at that time, I think my father was, at least he thought he was a better tennis player than both of us, so he decided to be on the singles court. So we played tennis, and we hit the ball, and he started running after the ball, and he hit the ball, and he missed it, and he rolled around on the ground and rolled in pain and agony in his legs. Vivek and I came from the other court running to find out what happened to him. He was holding his leg in his hand, and we thought with 911, we thought there was some major thing going on. And I said, Appa, are you okay? Are you okay? He's cringing, he's holding his ankle and going, I just injured my plantaris muscle. So only a doctor would tell you those kind of things. And now we know plantaris fasciitis is a common thing. So I said, what is this plantaris muscle? And he immediately, but this is before Google or any general knowledge. My father was a pre-Google general knowledge. Some of it was valid, some of it had to be questioned. And he immediately came up and told Vivek, and I think before Vivek even went to medical school, do you know that 30% of human beings do not have a plantaris muscle? Now he's laying in pain on the ground, and we're wondering what do we do with him, and he's holding his leg like this, and he's giving us some Gray's Anatomy about the plantaris muscle. So my father approached life that way. He's in pain, but he's going to educate you at the same time. That was his way of doing things. The second story is a little bit story many years later. I was in my condo. I was trying to run a marathon or half marathon, and I got dehydrated, and my father's remedy for dehydration is Gatorade, potato chips, Gatorade, eat plantains for potassium, all that. So we were supposed to go to a Mexican restaurant in Santa Fe Springs. So I said, Appa, I'm too tired, I can't make it, I need to relax. He said, are you taking Gatorade? Are you eating potato chips? Are you taking potassium? And I said, yes. Potassium, by the way, meant bananas, okay, for those of you that don't know. So I said yes. So I sat back in my condo, and I was leaning back, and I had the window open on the side, and this was probably an hour or two later. Then I see my dad had gone through one knee surgery at the time, so then I see this gentleman walking very fast through my window, and I looked like my father, limping with a banana plant in his hand. That we had a banana tree at home, limping to the door. And I thought I was delirious. I thought the dehydration has really got to me. I'm seeing someone that looks like my dad with a banana plant in his hand. I said, damn, something's wrong. Then I hear the doorbell, and here he is with a bag of Doritos. And now this is nutrition for a doctor, Doritos and a banana plant. And in his hand, a Vaughn's bag with Gatorade. He said, I just want to make sure you're okay. And so he walked in with the Gatorade bottle, with the banana plant, with the potato chips, and he said, please eat this because we have to go for Mexican food. He didn't care if I was okay or not. The third story, and I don't want to take this too long because I can go on and on. I ran a marathon for Team in Training and raised money for the Leukemia Lymphoma Society like many people do. And that was when cell phones just came. And when you run and walk a marathon, you go to the 18th mile and you hit what they call a wall, where you have to figure out how to do the next 8 miles. Sometimes you can make it, sometimes you don't. I was late, and I never give my father time. I said I'll be done maybe in 5 hours. So my mom and dad were waiting at the LA downtown finish line, and I get a call on my cell phone. Where are you? We have to go somewhere. Can you please hurry up? this is my father in his time. So those are the things that he brings to me when I remember him. And I just want to conclude before I give the mic to Vivek and Janet. There's a song, and I'm not a singer or a musician, but I'll read it to you. I always thought that when he passed away, I would learn the guitar, that Ken, who's outside, would teach me the guitar, and I would sing this song to you, but I'm just going to read it to you. It's a song, the song is Leader of the Band. It's sung by Dan Fogelberg, and I'll just read the words to you. A quiet man of music denied a simpler fate. He tried to be a soldier once, but his music wouldn't wait. He earned his love through discipline, a thundering velvet hand. His gentle means of sculpting souls took me years to understand. The leader of the band is tired and his eyes are growing old, but his blood runs through my instrument and his song is in my soul. My life has been a poor attempt to imitate the man. I'm just a living legacy to the leader of the band. I'll introduce my brother. Thank you.
But in preparation for that, I was worried that I would have to say something. And so in order not to avoid that task, I went and looked for somebody else to say it for me. And one of the things my father did is he loved Indian culture, and he loved the writings of Indians. And one of the things that he shared with me was he gave me a book one time of the poems of Tagore that I still have. But he didn't share with me this poem, but this is one that I found from Tagore that I'll read. Farewell, my friends. It was beautiful as long as it lasted, the journey of my life. I have no regrets whatsoever said, the pain I'll leave behind. Those dear hearts who love and care, and strings pulling at the heart and soul. The strong arms that held me up when my own strength let me down. At the turning of my life, I came across good friends, friends who stood by me, even when the time raced by. Farewell, farewell, my friends. I smile and bid you goodbye. No, shed no tears, for I need them not. All I need is your smile. If you feel sad, do think of me, for that's what I'll like. When you live in the hearts of those you love, remember then, you never die.
Ulhas, Vivek and Dushyant, I finally figured out something. It's taken me 60 years.
Okay.
And this may surprise you. By the way, the juniors over here may not know me, but I'm the only classmate over here, both Bala and Ulhas. Okay. So there are a lot of little things that I know, but I won't divulge. However,
Okay.
you know, everyone knows the Bala. We had Bala in Vellore, right? And very often the whole place would be empty. Then the music would start and there was some Bala songs. And all of a sudden, from nowhere, literally from nowhere, probably from the sky, Bala would appear. And now, after listening to all of this stuff and his love of music, it explains how he appeared from nowhere. So finally I've been able to solve it about 60 years later. Okay? We miss him. He was fun. He always liked some controversy. And Ulhas, I won't remind you about the bus and the water. No. That's for, there was I don't really know what happened, but it came to planning on picking up, starting from men's hostel, going to the women's hostel, and then they decided that they are going to dunk all the classmates, all the girls from And Bala was, he loved to plan all these things. He was at the head of this thing. I don't know if any of you remember this, but it was a lot of fun. And then we were persona non grata for a long time. And they'll never forget it. I'm sure you remember that, Ulhas. Yes. Oh, it was nice coming here and paying our respects to Bala. And Ulhas, take care, and Vivek and Tushant. Nice to meet all of you again after a long time.
Thank you. Let's give Dr. Thank you, Dr. Hari. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I'm the oldest niece of Dr. Bala. Prasanna is my name. And yes, listening to my two cousins, I am just reliving my father being very similar, mischievous, up to all the pranks. And I think I'm just thinking of my grandmother, how she even coped with the 4 boys. But I'm here really. I'm from Toronto, and I'm here more than talking about the Bala. I just want to say a huge big thank you. I was hit with a curveball in my life with a very bad illness, and that was 12 years ago, and nobody could diagnose me. It so happened that Baba Chittappa, whom I call him, had come over to Toronto, and he saw me in agonizing pain, and he said, "This is not good. You are coming to UCLA." Without even asking me, he made an appointment and got me down with my husband, and my kids came, all of us came here, and I was diagnosed, got all my things, and today I'm under control. I've been through so many rounds of chemo, and many medications, but I'm able to do everything I can, and I'm thankful and I'm so grateful to Baba Chittappa for doing that for me. That's just one thing. And then, of course, when my daughter, I have a son and a daughter, my daughter was growing up and she wanted to always be a doctor, and then she did get selected in Toronto into med school the first time. I was talking to Baba Chittappa, and then he said, "Hey, she should go to India." I said, "Okay, will you make it happen?" He said, "Yes, why not?" And then, of course, she had already applied to the Caribbeans. And he said, "Summa vide, Caribbeans, we don't want it. Let her go to India." By then, my daughter had already gone to Pune to help with volunteering through Baba Chittappa, of course. And I told my daughter, Akshita, first medical school which you get acceptance, you're going. And I was hoping against hope it would be Pune. Yes, it did happen. And today, I'm so thankful again to Baba Chittappa and Ulasanti for that, for giving or talking me into it and making Akshita go to Pune, come back, and now she's a psychiatrist and going forward to do her fellowship. And lastly, but not least, at my son's wedding, my son and my daughter-in-law, I didn't have my parents at that time. It was Baba Chittappa and Ulasanti who stepped up to officiate the wedding. And I'm so happy and thankful about it. So Baba Chittappa, wherever you are, my pranams and thank you.
Okay. I'm Sanjeev. I am Babu Uncle's oldest nephew. My remembrance of Babu Uncle was he was a big hero. He was this young kid, at Velo Medical College, and we idolized him. And it was. For us, I used to look up to him, and he was really a phenomenal influence in my choosing medicine, guiding me through, and he was really the family. He was really family oriented, like we were told. And he took, I remember when he was very young, he was the first doctor in the family, and we were a huge family. And he took this job of being the physician of the family very seriously. Whether you had a headache, you had diabetes, you had arthritis, you just fell down and sprained your ankle, he was always very serious about it. He took it, took whatever you said, listened, like somebody said, he's a very good listener. He listened and took his time and then gave you good, considered advice. And it was so nice to see. And he really had a phenomenal impact on a lot of people. And I was certainly a beneficiary of his kindness. And I think that my sister said it so very well as to how many people he has touched, and truly a life well lived.
Hello, everyone. I cannot encapsulate everything, of my relationship with Bala. I'll try to be as brief as I can, and I'll have some snippets, hopefully. So, Bala, as I knew him, was and the first time I met him was at his wedding, okay, and at Ulhas's and Bala's wedding. So I was a little boy at that time. So I'm sorry. And then after that, he was helpful. He was actually the prime person who was responsible for me to come here. So and Ulhas and Bala both, of course. And the first time I visited him was when he was in El Paso. He was designated the honorary sheriff of El Paso. So that's where it started. So the highlight of my visit there was going for a bullfight in Juarez, Mexico. So that was an interesting, visit at that time. So after that, I came over here to California, and he was my boss, and I worked with him at Martin Luther King Hospital for 5 years, and then I went into private practice at that time. So since then, I got married after that, and we had children a little late, but Bala and Ulhas were there for us, So, Bala was the guiding, a person for our children. He was their grandfather, he was their godfather, and he was everything for them. For my children, Banka uncle was everything, and so and he could do anything for them. So, and my son would always say, "Hey, Bala uncle, do not retire. I'll be a trauma surgeon and working with you." Beyond that, Bala had a habit of performing practical jokes. So one of the things he did was after I got married and my wife Atula was coming for the first time to United States, and we were at the temple in Malibu. He was persistently asking me, "Are you sure she's coming?" I said, yes, she's coming today. So and then finally, I went to the airport, picked her up, and came back home, and then I think a day later or so at night, I get a call on the telephone from Western Union, and they told me something. Miss, Atula Karodi is going to be is delayed in flight. I said, that's not possible. She's already here. So I knew there was something, going on here. So, and then I think, I realized that this was a prank from Bala, So we just kept quiet. A couple of months later, And we had bought some furniture, and we had to schlep it to our house. So we borrowed his station wagon, and he had the duplicate keys, and they'd given the keys to us. So we took it, and then we had dropped his station wagon bag at home on Fairway Lane. And I had kept the keys for some reason. So one night, what we did was we just crept into the station wagon and moved it away, far away on the other side of the street. So next day, Bala woke up and he couldn't find the station wagon. So he walked out, and he then looked at it, and he saw that his car was parked far away. So I think he was, blaming Ullas for that. Hey, Ullas, why did you park the car there? And you probably went, last night for an OB, visit, and you didn't park it right. So this happened, and we didn't say anything months together. So this was about 10 years ago, and we let Bala know about it. And he had great fun, he realized. And he was trying to tell us, oh, no, I didn't do anything, We realized that he was the one who had sent the telegram. So he was good at doing these practical jokes. So that was one of them, and that was the highlight of it. So I will always remember Bala as a very encouraging, very helpful, and my heart goes out, and I will never forget him. So it is going to be a tough time for me to recover from this. Again, thank you, all of you, for coming, and enjoy the day. Thank you.
My cousin Meera Raja was unable to make it here, but she insisted that I read some thoughts from her. So I'm just going to read this. I do not sound at all like Meera does, but it's starting. I'm not there in body, but my spirit, my heart, and my mind are there in the room with all of you today. Babu Mama is my mom's brother, and as you probably heard from now, my mama was one of 8 kids. I will now admit that he was my favorite. My first memory of Babu Mama are in Chicago. My father's first teaching job was in Puerto Rico, and my parents weren't happy there. Babu Mama and Alasanti encouraged us to leave Puerto Rico and look for work in Chicago, where they were living. They offered us sanctuary, and my parents and I moved in with the Balas into their hospital housing for residents and families. I don't think that they meant people could bring their extended families, but I guess we can let that secret out now. That set the stage for what I've always felt about Babu Mama and Alasanti. They are my refuge, my sanctuary, and my safe place. They gave me 2 brothers, Dushyant and Vivek. After our illegal squat in their apartment, we all moved into an apartment building in the suburbs, lived on the same floor. Those years in the early 70s are some of my best memories. We were in separate apartments, but it didn't feel like that. This was the closest I ever got to joint family situation. I loved it because I was never lonely. Dushyant and Vivek were my playmates, and Babu Mama treated me as part of his family. My heart feels warm and safe as I think about him through the years. I always wanted to spend my time with the Balas, and when they moved from Chicago to St. Louis, my summers were filled with Babu Mama driving me back and forth between cities. I don't think he'd developed his focus on country music yet, and we listened to pop radio together as the miles flew by. I was so impressed that someone my parents' age listened to American radio. His coolness was cemented in me in those drives. Making conversation with him was always easy, and I never felt like he talked down to me. He treated me like my thoughts and feelings were important. I didn't have to present a better version of myself. I could be myself with him. It was almost like having a friend who's older and just happens to be your relative. Before I came to understand the magnitude of his achievements, I loved him for simple reasons. He made me feel I was entitled to his love by being me. During a very dark time in my life, he took me for a drive and told me that everything was going to work out and that he still believed in me. I don't think he knew how meaningful that conversation was. As much as it still hurts not to have him occupying a physical body on earth, I have a treasure trove of beautiful memories thanks to my mama. I will remember him for his joie de vivre, or zest for life. I will remember El Torito and how the food tasted better because he made going out for a dinner such a special occasion. I will remember being able to call him with any medical question and the conversation always ending with me getting an expert opinion and him wondering about the competence of Chicago doctors. I will remember the movies that he slept through and then pretended to have watched as the rest of us talked about the plot. I'll remember coming down the stairs in the morning and him sitting in the dining room, reading the paper and offering me coffee and non-essential sections of the paper. I'll remember singing with him after he got sick and how he enjoyed speeding through the store on his motorized shopping cart yelling, beep, 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 beep. I remember him tricking me into ironing for him several times by telling me that he had heard about what a remarkable ironer I was. There are many memories like that saved up in my heart. I will forever miss you, Baba Mama, and it was my honor and pleasure to be your niece. I love you now and always. So next, I'd like to ask Ira, our cousin, to come and say a few words.
Thanks, Vivek. First of all, my apologies. I'm very casually dressed, but as Dushyant said, it's all in the jeans, and so here I am in jeans. Anyways, I just wanted to introduce myself. I am Ullas Maushi's niece. I'm the relative on the mom's side, but I've also known Bala uncle, Dushyant Vivek, for over 40 years now. Not just from meeting them in California, but from all their trips to India and Pune. So that's where we got to know Dushyant when he was studying, and Bala uncle, Ullas Maushi, making their trips there to their home in Pune, which they set up long ago. So I just wanted to give you a little bit, a couple of funny stories, one funny and one nice, very, very nice one. So many of you already know what great hosts the Balas are, and we've also heard about all the food stories from Dushyant, the Mexican food, and I heard a lot more today. So you know how much they feed you, from Srikhanda to Rasam to packing you home with bags of limes and lemons and mangoes and blood oranges, which I never ever heard of until I came to the US. I've also gone through multiple security checks at the airport because I have carried bags of lemons in a backpack and gotten pulled over. And I was quite embarrassed because there were about 50 lemons and limes in my bag. But anyways, that's besides the point. Just wanted to tell you about a little story from February 2008. Which particularly stands out and always brings a smile to our faces. We were visiting Southern California with the kids when they were very young, and the kids are over here, they're not young anymore. This is February 2008, actually. And Varun, our son, was just about 8.5 and majorly into US presidents at that time. Everything was US presidents, this, that, trivia, things like that, and he had already found a confidant in Dushyant, who loves history as well. Dushyant had insisted that we visit the presidential library, Nixon's library down here in Yorba Linda. And right after visiting the library, we decided to stop by Ullas Maushi and Bala uncle's house for dinner. And as you know, there's more food involved over here. So Bala uncle also had a wall calendar in his kitchen. And just by our luck, the wall calendar actually had a picture of George Bush. And there was already so much talk going on about presidents and trivia, and Dushyant quizzing Varun about it. Bala uncle also getting into the mood of things. He'd already taken Sanjana to see the blood, as she called it, blub oranges. She was not even 3 years old. We were out there, and we were sitting out on the beautiful patio. And for us from Boston, just seeing the mountains and having some warm weather in the 60s was definitely a plus in February. So Bala uncle decided we needed more food. And right after we'd had a pretty large dinner, he decided we needed ice cream. And everybody wondered where he had disappeared to. And Sanjana was, like I said, about 2.5. She just decided to walk up and said, "Oh, George Bush has gone inside to get us ice cream." So that was pretty funny. And we've never forgotten that story since then. And it's always been George Bush has gone inside to get some ice cream. In that same trip, we saw many of the amazing photographs that Bala uncle took. Many of you probably already know what a great photographer he was, and he enjoyed taking pictures and how skilled he actually was. This is 2008. And one of the pictures on their walls, if you have seen, is the big picture, which looks like a print actually, of Manasarovar in their home. And one of the first examples of a stitched panorama that we had ever seen. And in fact, iPhones were just about coming out then, and panorama did not exist in iPhones then either. Something we take for granted today with our phones, but painstakingly stitched or done with individual photographs. So next time you visit the Balas, take a look at that frame picture on the wall and you'll know what I mean. Bala uncle had an amazing life, as you've heard everybody talking about the stories about his time in Pune during, going there and setting up the trauma center. So much more. I'd even read his name in the India Abroad one time, and I was pleasantly excited, I should say overly excited, when I saw his name in the newspaper. That I actually showed it. I took a picture of that and sent it to my mother and father to take a look at that. We definitely miss having him now, especially because our daughter is studying at Chapman University at the Dodge College of Film Studies. And we've made more trips last year to California, all the way from Boston, that it just seems like something's missing. But we know that Bala uncle is probably getting that ice cream for Sanjana, because George Bush just decided to go inside to get the ice cream. So thank you all, and Ullas Maushi, we'll be coming here more often than you think, so we'll see you every trip that we come.
Thank you. My name is Sheila, and I'm from Chicago. My mom is Bob Mama's older sister. My mom is almost 89 years old now. And this morning, she asked me to say some things to you all. The first thing she wanted you to know is, she said, I miss him. He was the Dr. Fauci of my life. And then she wanted me to share a couple of stories with you. She said, first of all, when she married my father, apparently my father was diagnosed with ulcers in Calcutta and was told that he needed to keep eating food. And my mom said my dad at this time was very overweight and came to Vellore to see Bob Mama, and Bob Mama said, no, we have to get you a workup in Vellore, and was told, no, you don't have ulcers, and then my dad lost weight. So my mom wants you to know that, and that he took his responsibility as Dr. Fauci very seriously even back then. And she wanted you to know that after 3 girls, he was their mom's favorite, and that he was a very good and obedient child. Although, I don't know, I think he was a little mischievous. But she wanted you to know that he was persistent, that he forgot his ticket to take his medical school exam, but he talked them into saying, let me take it anyway. I will produce the ticket for you. And then my mom, who worked for the Indian High Commission, got the ticket for him, and he was able to get his score counted. So Bob Mama was always able to talk people into seeing the best in things. And then she also wanted me to tell you about his friendliness. That at one point, he was coming from India, from medical school, back to Colombo for a visit, and there were heavy rains, and the trains had stopped everything from running. And my Pati, my grandmother, was very worried. Where is Babu? Where is Babu? You know, that was her favorite young man at the time. And she was so afraid of what was happening, and it turns out he phoned some acquaintances and apparently had a great time and was invited to stay over and got dinner and everything. So he was doing well. I just wanted to take a minute and just say my own sort of thing about him. I don't know how to take 3 minutes to say something about somebody that has known me for my entire life since I was born. And I feel so fortunate that it's not about when I was a child, but really much more about my relationship with him as an adult. And if I have to think about Bob Mama and Ullas Auntie, 3 words come to mind, and that is generosity, joy, and perseverance. So in terms of generosity, I will say it's not just money, it is time. I think we have all experienced this about Bob Mama and Ulas Auntie, the time that they give you. I think about the time where he was waiting for knee surgery and then back surgery, and he drove me and my daughter and my another cousin's daughter, Aditi, he drove us all the way down to SeaWorld when he needed knee surgery, and 3 hours in the car, and he did not complain once. He just laughed at their jokes and enjoyed being around young people. Like you said, Vivek, he loved being around young people. Joy, oh my goodness, a man that's a surgeon, taking joy in tableside guacamole and art and the telescope and his garden, and Andy Griffith reruns, and you could just go on and on about all the things he got joy in. And he taught my daughter Jaya when we came down to visit. He said, I'm going to teach you to read the newspaper, and you know what you do? You open up and you go to the comics first. Doesn't matter what else is going on in the world. Get some joy. Read the comics first. Perseverance. We came down here once with my daughters, my husband and I, and my daughter, my younger one was about 5 years old at the time, and it rained in Disneyland. We came back to Ulas Auntie and Bob Mama's house, and Bob Mama said, how was it? I said, it wasn't that great. They closed a lot of the rides, and Leela, my younger one, couldn't ride a lot of the rides, and they canceled the parade, and Bob Mama said, what do you mean? How can that be? You should call them and ask for your money back. I said, how can you ask Disneyland for their money back because it rained? They're not going to give me my money back. He's like, Sheila, you have to call. He made me call. And here's the thing. They gave us a voucher, 4 more tickets. They said, come back in 1 year. You can come back anytime in the next year. So we get another trip out of to California. We got to come back to Disneyland again because it rained. And I keep the ticket on my desk at work to remind me to never make assumptions about things. You never know. And for my 50th birthday, which was about like a year after Bob Mama passed away, I brought a bunch of my friends down to Southern California to Laguna Beach, and they said, why here? From all the way from Chicago, why did we come all the way down here? And I didn't even think about it. I was like, oh my gosh, because this feels like home to me, that sense of joy and generosity and perseverance that I wanted to share with my friends. And the strangest thing is that I was walking along, and on Laguna Beach, some little girl was singing Que Sera Sera. And my friend pulled me aside and said, that's your uncle. He's giving you a little wink and a happy birthday. So Bob Mama, Ulas Auntie, love you, and thank you for sharing this wonderful family with our extended Subramaniam family.
Thank you, Dushyant. So Dushyant had called me and asked me, hey, can you speak? And I was like, sure. So Dushyant, I'm here. I drove quite a far ways to come here. I actually wanted to meet all the Toastmasters. It's been a while since I've met all of them, but Dr. Bala was a big part of the group. He was there every Tuesday. He was there on time, just like all the other Toastmasters, though majority of us were Indians in the club, but we were always there on time. Not only that, I knew Dr. Bala in a professional setting, but after our club was done, we all went into very personal settings. We went for dinners, and the dinners were so exciting. Everyone's been talking about how he was full of life. And when we went for those dinners, you saw his other personality come out. And it was always amazing to listen to him. Everything that he said, I was like a sponge, sitting there trying to absorb. And I would ask him all sorts of random questions. One day he told me, and I'm not going to take too much time up here, one day he told me, he was like, Rupali, don't take life so seriously. And I had to sit there and really think about it, because here I was in Toastmasters wanting to learn. And every Tuesday, we had topics that we covered were, I don't even have words to explain at this point. They were so amazing, because on my 3-hour drive here, I was thinking about everything that we used to do in Toastmasters, the life we had, the joy we had, how much our horizons of life had expanded over that time. But when I came there, I was like mentally taking notes of everything that was happening. And he was one of the mentors that I really took notes from.
But when he said, don't take life so seriously, I really took that to heart. And, over the years, I've been living life, but not definitely taking it as seriously, just finding joy in things. Even when COVID happened, you know what? Things happen for a reason. So thank you again, Dushan, for inviting me here.
Yeah, okay, all right. Thanks, Dushan. So when Dushan told me that he's having an event for his father, a memorial, and he talked about it, and the first thing he wanted me to organize it, right? Typical Dushan fashion, right? So he asked me, and I said, no, you figure it out. We'll be your audience. And he got this going, and he said family would be coming, and friends would be coming, and Toastmasters. And I think what it really is an extension of his father. Bala was a light when he came to Toastmasters. He was full of wisdom, as Rupali alluded to, but he was always happy. He was really appreciative of his moments. Like, talk about living in the present, right? This person really did. And Dushan and Vivek have very much picked up from that, because the moments that we're in are the moments that matter, right? Not really the ones before, and the future is something to look forward to, but the moment we were in. And I recall tremendously how many times his presence kept us in the present. It was continual all the time. And I really appreciated that, because it was always fun to talk to him. And he always had a contrarian view. Like, if you had some idea stuck in your head, he would bring something different to you to think about. And not looking for controversy, but just to expand the way you think, the way we think. And just so we could be more cognizant of that. So I think there was a great deal of things. So with that, I'm going to bring up Raj. Yeah, you thought two? Come on, Raj, you're up next. Yes. See, this is how we work in Toastmasters. You get us, we get you back, right? So then Raj will take care. Thank you, Raj. This is Raj Manik.
Hello. Hey, you're going to stay with me.
No, okay.
No, Naveen, come on. Dushyant is right. It can take hours, and I can take you whole evening, because Bala and the Bala Subramanian family evoke family. They evoke relationships. They evoke connections, and those connections remain and they prevail, whether you're here or you're not. And so to capture that in words, practically impossible. So one of the things that I spoke to Dushan when I first walked in, and he's asked, would you like to say a few words? The words that came out of my mouth were, it's impossible. In fact, you have to be non-verbal. That's the essence of just being in this room and soaking in the energy, listening to the music, the food, the ambience, relating to everybody, the color, the vibrance, the essence of who we are. He brought that out, and he's bringing it out further. To Dushyant's mom, Vivek's mom, and to the two sons that he has brought up. And Dushyant, we respect. Vivek, I know less, having not met you that often. Dushyant, I have. So we pay homage, we pay respect, because they represent who he was and still is today. And so if I were to capture what it means that being in the present moment, he was, and he still is, and he's allowing us all to enjoy this moment, for not just for what he brought to us, but for what we continue to bring for ourselves today, who we are today. The friendships, the memories we're making, the fun, the joy, it's of this moment. And I want us to think about that he was self-actualized. And that is why he was able to enjoy life in a very vibrant, sort of a lightness. For a person who is a surgeon, just imagine, life is in his hands, the patient. and families are relying on him to be of present mind so that they have their family member back, having recovered, and so on and so forth. A person to be able to go through that, you have to almost see life in a different perspective, almost from high above. Like your angle of perspective is different than you and I. And he brought that to us every day at our Toastmasters meeting, every time when I met him. And Rupali is correct. It was that ability to put into context certain things, certain even very pedantic subjects, to see differently, was his ability to evoke thought that really you are not what you think. Just allow yourself to have a different, broader view, and you realize, where did he get that? Where is he able to reflect and say things from a place of a different perspective? Because he was self-actualized. He was what we all aspire to be. And so we enjoy this very moment. I enjoy it. I am so pleased to be here. And thank you, Naveen, and thank you, Rupali, for remembering all the fun moments. And especially thanks to you, Mom. She's our mom. I remember her sitting in the front row at the Toastmasters Club like a school teacher, right? Would evoke that sense of sensibilities, your behavior, your manners, how you relate to, how you speak to, and how you actually perform in that club during that hour and a half or so.
She was more like the headmistress, not just the schoolmaster.
Essentially.
Yeah.
And I want
everything you did.
And Dushyant.
Evaluation.
Yes, true. Dushyant and Vivek, thank you, and for carrying the torch of your father alive, and for putting all this together. I say thank you. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Raj and Naveen. Thanks, you guys.
I don't run the School of Dance, that's Ramya. But incidentally, Ullas also delivered our two sons. So she's mom, yes, she is mom. So Bala and Ullas, we've known them for almost 4 decades. But I want to talk about a side of Bala and Ullas, of course, they go hand in hand, that were integral to who our community is today. And perhaps some of you here might have been here long enough to know what the history and the progression of how our community grew in this area, but some of you aren't. So back in the mid to late 80s, there was an organization called the Historical and Cultural Foundation of Orange County. That organization was essentially one trying to, I guess, create some kind of a archival and a process, and also provide the opportunity for communities in the area to really talk about their histories. We established a part of that organization that was the beginning stages of what this community has grown in many ways to become. It was called the Asian Indian Council of the Historical and Cultural Foundation of Orange County. And that actually became the first point at which we brought the community together, the diaspora community together. And Bala and Ullas were instrumental. As much as we, myself and Ramya, were involved in the cultural arts at that time, we needed, talking about, how you said about perseverance and, generosity, they brought that and they just drove us. We were there, we had been in the country for about 10 years at that time. So that was what created, but let me tell you this, we did the first multicultural festival in Irvine that was actually sponsored by the Historical and Cultural Foundation. And this incident I remember very well because it was one of those things that you go, no, we can't do this. Bala and Ullas said, we got to do something that's very, very unique as a community to showcase not just the fact that we're here as a community, but also something that people will remember. So they said, why don't we get a snake charmer from India? were not just a snake charmer, they wanted to get the snake also. And so we went through a whole series of hoops and battles about what to do to bring a snake charmer here. Bala went out and talked to Air India, and he went out and talked to all of the animal control people here, figuring out how we need to do this. So eventually, we did get the snake charmer, but we had to follow certain rules with respect to the snake. So we actually had one of the local, there was a person here locally who actually had cobras, which is obviously the snake that you use for the snake charmer. And so we managed to contract with him and have him come and be a part of that festival. And I'm telling you, that really laid the foundations for what we are as a community here. Because today, I think we as a diaspora community are extremely well recognized and extremely well respected. And that has also evolved into what we are in the cultural landscape of Orange County today. So I just wanted to acknowledge both Ullas and Bala for being who they are in bringing that to all of us, definitely for us, myself and Ramya, and the whole community. But for all of those who are following us, the next generation will still have some of that. And one thing I wanted to tell you, Dushan and Vivek, this has been a very important part of this, and Ullas and I have talked about this, which is talking about oral histories. Oral histories of people who have lived here in this country and lived in each of these areas, and to document that. And it's time that we did that. And if any of you have been here long enough, you should be doing this. And it's part of the history of this community. And I think Bala and what you're doing today is part of that documentation. So keep it up. Thanks a lot.
I hear the train a-coming, it's rolling round the bend. I ain't seen the sunshine since I don't know when. Well, I'm stuck in Folsom Prison, and time keeps dragging on. But that train keeps rolling on down to San Antonio. When I was just a baby, my mother told me, son, always be a good boy, don't ever play with guns. I shot a man in Reno, check it out, just to watch him die. When I hear that whistle blowing, I hang my head and
she goes down to the bottom, was on the right, jump in the line, rock your body on time. Okay, I believe you, jump in the line, rock your body on time. Oh yes, somebody help me. In the line, rock your body on time. Jump in the line, rock your body on time. Shake, 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 senor. Shake your body, lion. Work, 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 senora. Work it all the time. Dance, 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 senora. Dance it all the time. Work, it's a celebration. Celebrate good times, come on. It's a celebration. Celebrate good times, come on. It's a celebration. The party going on right here. A dedication to last.
Out of reading people's faces, knowing what the cards were, by the way they held their eyes. So if you don't mind me saying, I can see you're out of bases. Seeing of the whiskey, I'll give you some advice. So I handed him my bottle, and he drank out my last swallow. When the dealing's done, you never know where to fold 'em, know when to walk away.
your money. When you're sitting at the table, there'll be time enough for counting. When the deal
One
is
more time.
done,
When to hold them. Come on.
know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, know where to run. You never count your money. When you're sitting there at the table, there'll be time enough for counting when the deal is done.
All right, thank you.
Love and blessings.